Hello and welcome. I'm Daniel.
And I'm Andrew, and we're brothers, and this is the Daniel and Andrew Show.
Where we give our opinions about movies and TV and movies that I don't think anybody asked for. So, how are you doing today, Andrew?
I'm good. How about you?
I'm doing all right. Do anything fun this week?
Watched Demon Slayer, the newest season.
Uh-huh.
It was good. Like, the ending is really good, but like the first 6 episodes up to that are like pretty snooze fest. So
Yeah. That's what I gleaned from others. People thought about it. I haven't even watched the season before, so I didn't watch it with you, even though you offered many times.
yeah, it was a little disappointing. It was mostly just setup. And
Yeah.
it was still like fun to watch, but I mean, it could have been that could have been condensed into like 2 episodes. But that's what we got. So
Well, you got 3 movies to look forward to, whenever
I mean,
they
those 3
decide to come out.
movies are they're gonna be crazy.
Yeah.
Like what they've set up, they're gonna be great. So
Right, exactly.
that's why it's okay.
And I'm sure the last one will just be a final battle or whatever, probably. So
It's no, so they've basically started the final battle at the end
okay,
of this.
okay.
So
The last
all 3 movies
the last movie will
are
be
gonna.
like a wrap up, then probably.
I think it'll all be fighting. Maybe I don't know. I mean, it depends on what happens in those battles, right? For the wrap up. But
I'd be shocked if like the bad guys won and all their characters die. I'd be shocked if that happened, but I'm sure it'll just be like
I'm
whatever.
hoping that like some people die that are good.
Oh, I'm sure there will be, but I'm sure a good chunk of that one will be like going back to the back home and where defeated the evil or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
Could be wrong. Maybe that's 5 minutes and it's literally fighting for 3 movies straight, but I just doubt it. That's not how
I think it'll
animes
be
go.
fighting, and then they'll have their classic flashback stuff for
Oh
the
yeah,
villains
that's a good
during
point.
it and stuff.
That's right. That is definitely something that they do in the show. Yeah. I mean, I'll probably get around to it, but other stuff on the old plate. I saw 2 movies other than the one that we're talking about, and plus a TV. I mean, it's not even a whole season of a TV show. I would say it's like half a season. So I saw. I'll do it from how much I liked them to, like least to best. I think. So Despicable Me 4, saw that in the theaters. We went to a pretty late showing. It was pretty full in there. So just like on our regular screen, and so it was pretty full in there. So went to the desk or whatever, and we're like, "Can we get these seats?" And they were like the handicap companion seats or whatever. And so there's like just big spaces next to the 2 seats, and there was nobody in those, needed those or whatever. So they let us sit there, and they were like the best seats. There was like no one around, no one in front of you. There's no bar blocking you. There's like a big wall behind us. It was like perfect because Dad's very talkative, so it's like our own little booth to watch it, and it was like perfect spot. So it's like I'll be looking to get those if possible
in the future.
in the future. Oh yeah, those are some good seats. Yeah. The movie was okay. I would say it's pretty average, but it's very kids. It's like kids movies when you think the kids are just kind of dumb. Fart noises, smacking butts, pies in the face, goofy.
Yeah, you're the one who claimed that one was more for older kids or something.
Yeah.
But apparently,
The uh yeah, they just made it. They literally, instead of Minions being like a little bit of comedy thrown in there, like the first movie is much better movie. This one was like half Minions, half the story you're following, right? So it's like you literally have just as much Minions because the Minions make money, so they shove them in there more and give them like a B plot. And if the B plot was boring, and they were like super minions or whatever. They had like powers. Like they're like Fantastic Four plus Cyclops minions, um, and they're just stupid and make funny noises or whatever. I thought it was average. I mean, Inside Out 2 is way better movie. I would say it's like a 5, maybe like a 5.5.
How's it
Uh,
doing
oh,
money
really,
wise?
really well. Not like it for the 5 day weekend. It made like 120. For the 3 day, it made like 75. So it's fine. Like that's like it's a good showing. I mean, for a lot of movies, they would kill to make 75 million on their opening weekend. But it also hasn't opened in all worldwide yet. It hasn't opened in Europe, like some of Europe, like the UK, and it hasn't opened in China. So that's another probably about the same opening as this weekend overseas, because overseas that those movies make a lot of money. Like the last Despicable Me was like 25% domestic and 75% international, and that made a billion.
Okay.
So
Huh.
we'll see how it does next week. I think that'll be a good, if it makes like 50 million next week, then you might be running out of tank. But I think it is kind of, I think the audience is getting smaller. I think people are kind of like, okay, we'll see what happens. I think most likely it might hit a billion, but it like the last Minions movie didn't make a billion, so we'll see what happens. It's kind of a wait and see, and also I think Inside Out 2 is crushing it, so it's kind of like splitting. I feel like a little bit the audience, but I think movies like a Deadpool and stuff will do pretty well. There hasn't been any like adult movies that have really crushed it. Um, so yeah, um, it is interesting. It looks like Inside Out 2 will be the number one movie of the summer, if not the year. Um, so we'll see. And nobody was thinking that.
Well, I mean, still let it release. I think it's still early. Don't underestimate overseas. Like you said, it's
Yeah,
75%. They could see it even more. You never know.
yeah. I mean, Inside Out 2 made like 150. It made double in its first weekend, but it didn't release fully worldwide. But that, like, just domestically, it made double. So we'll see what happens. But looks like it'll be all over the place. And there's movies this summer like Bad Boys and stuff that are doing better than Furiosa and Fall Guy and whatever. So it's a interesting year there. It definitely will be jumbled by the end of the summer. Um, so yeah. All right. So that was Despicable Me 4. I saw it was part 2, I guess you want to call it, of that 90s show. Um, I would say it was about the same level as the first season was, but it's also I don't think you could call it season 2. It felt very part, like half of a season. Um, so, but they kind of, there's something that happens at the end of the first season that they resolve in the first couple of episodes of the next part and stuff. And then there's just kind of like stuff going on. Um, I mean, I thought this it might have been slightly better than the first season. Um, I think the kids are a little older and they're kind of getting into their characters a little bit more. Um, but yeah, it's still not as good as 70 show or anything. I would give it like a 6.5, something like that.
Yeah. I
Um,
mean, my wife still watched it.
yeah,
Uh, Rajan still watched it. So like people are watching it.
I mean,
So
they're 20 minutes long, like 22 minutes long. I mean, they go through really fast. I finished most of it in like a day. Um, if you watch if you watch 6 of them, that's like it's like 2 hours. It
yeah.
it so
Yeah, it's
um,
easy to consume. Yeah,
yeah,
I mean, but it still has to compete, with any other show in existence. So,
yeah. I mean, it's a classic sitcom. Got the
yeah.
laughing, and the
I mean, I thought it was pretty boring. I don't remember what I rated it.
I think we thought it was fine. I think we thought it had room for improvement. And I don't. I think I think they need to go less like arching story between the seasons and more just like you know
Episode to episode,
episode to
whatever
episode,
happens.
and then you can have recurring characters, but I just don't think anybody cares enough about this person likes this person and whatever. They are talking
Yeah.
about. I do like it because it's in the 90s, so there's like 90s music and stuff, and like the people that show up, I actually know who they are. They're not people from the 70s. Like in that 70s show, like Carmen Electra, I know who Carmen Electra is. So it's like, oh, okay, I know who Kevin Smith is, like Jay and Silent Bob. I know who they are. You know what I mean? So it's like, uh, I like that. Um, but I mean, if you like the original show, the problem is they have too many people are Kelso, and they need to have they only need one Kelso on that show, but like 3 of the people in that show are that character, and they don't have enough different people. Um,
I
so
completely agree with that.
I mean, I like the one Asian boy is still funny to me, and I like the like she's like goth girl or whatever, and then I think the girl who is supposed to be Donna and Eric's kid is still good. um, but it's like, I'm this person's girlfriend, I'm blah blah, it's just kind of, and then there's like 3 characters that are Kelso, so it's like meh. um so yeah, I think they tried to do other things like bring other like kind of recurring people on and have those characters have arcs or whatever. And then they had like Seth Green, who was in the original show as like a guy that Donna dated for a minute. He comes back and stuff, and it was fun little stuff like that. But um, you know, it could be better. Um, we'll see. I think if I see the next part and I think it's about the same, I'll probably just move on. Um, if it doesn't, it has to be
Mm.
funnier. I've only laughed a couple times, so and
Well, what I'm
about
trying to say is, I don't even think it's that good, right? But people keep watching it. So I think it's just going to keep going as long as people keep watching it, right?
yeah.
People
I
don't have to
mean,
enjoy it, apparently.
yeah, the next part comes out in like October or something. So that'll be like the end of the second season. Um, and then we'll see where it goes from there. I mean, Netflix has had shows that people watched, but they didn't continue it, even though people watched it. So, I mean, um, so
I think this is more than just a niche category. I think it's on the higher end of their viewership. So
I have no idea. Um, maybe, I don't know. Um, but yeah, okay. So there was that one, and then I saw another movie this week called Ghostlight. Um, Me and Dad agree. So far, this has been the best movie that me and him saw this year. Um, it is like a really small movie. It's like in like it was in like 500 theaters or something. Um, but it's released by IFC, so it's like really small. It's about a working class dad who is a construction worker, and he stumbles upon a community theater, and he they're doing a production of Romeo and Juliet, and while he kind of not sure if he wants to like be a part of it or not, and then he keeps doing while he's doing it, he sees parallels in his personal life, and there's just like good acting and stuff in the movie. I don't. There's only like one person in the whole movie that I recognize, but she's like even a like a smaller actor that not a lot like only like film people probably know. So all the people were unknown to me, so it felt realistic and like natural because I didn't know who they were. That just like could have been them. You know what I mean? Um, and yeah, it's like his family dynamic and then him doing the play at the same time. I thought it was like a really really good movie. And it was one of those ones where I was like actually um, engaged the whole time. It wasn't like okay, I'm watching a movie. Um, I would give it like a 9, maybe even like a 9.5. Like I said, it's probably going to be. It will definitely be. Um, I will definitely be having it on my list um, for the end of the year, and I'm hoping that when the Oscars come around, this is in the conversation because the lead actor guy was great in the movie, and it felt real and it was just a good movie. So I mean, if you can see it in theaters, I would see it, but I'm sure it'll be on streaming or whatever or pay, whatever digital soon. And it's definitely worth it, even if you have to like rent it for like $5. I think it would be worth it. That's a really good movie, and
I
that's.
mean, I'll give it a try, but usually these smaller movies that you say are really good tend to be boring. So
I think it's
we'll
a
see.
movie that you have to actually just watch the whole thing. Uh, I think it's a movie that you
I
get
mean,
more.
if it's too boring in the first hour, I might just turn it off.
You get more and more of the story once the more you watch it. I think it's better, and I think the less you know, the better. You just watch it and watch the story. I think it's a good movie. I think it's worth anybody can connect to it. If you're young, you could connect to it. If you're like our age, you can connect to it. If you're a parent, you can connect to it because he's a dad. I think it's good on like any level. It's a good movie. So, yep. So that was Ghostlight. Um, all right. So that was everything that I watched. Um, ready to get into some news here. Um, so Skydance and Paramount are going to merge. They lined out a new deal, so they will be merging, and won't be breaking it up and selling it, scrapping it for parts. Paramount, so that's good. I'm happy that that was the decision. The Sony was wanted to buy it and like sell it off. So, and the lady who's the head of Paramount is a legacy. Like her father ran it for a really long time and stuff like that. So she didn't want it to be like that. So that's good. Um, so that's they have come to terms on an agreement or whatever. So there's that. Uh, you have anything about that? I don't think so.
No, I had heard about it. I just don't think Paramount has that good of stuff other than what it did they do?
Pretty much anything
The Tom
Tom
Cruise.
Cruise, Mission
Yeah,
Impossible, Top Gun. They have Transformers. I mean, The Godfather. Um, look like classic movies. Uh, so yeah, I mean, there's other things I just can't remember off the top of my head. They do the Quiet
yeah,
Place movies. That was the most recent Paramount thing. So
yeah. I don't think anything they do is like that crazy other than the Tom Cruise stuff. But I'm sure he could have found somewhere else to do them, even if they did scrap it. So
yeah, well, yeah,
Star Trek. I think they did Star
Star
Trek.
Trek. Yeah, they do just anything Paramount or like CBS, like Paramount Plus stuff. Yeah.
Honestly, I feel like Star Trek could thrive in a different place. Yeah, I feel like they screw up Star Trek quite a bit. So
Well, I know people like the what's that one? Uh, the one with Anson Mount as uh, the the captain. Brave New Worlds, something strange New Worlds.
yeah, there's one on there that people have liked from the beginning, but then there has been like
Discovery.
three.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's
I,
been
I think
Discovery that people don't like.
I think
Well,
people didn't like Picard, like the beginning of it, but then like there was a season recently that people liked or something
yeah,
because they like
season
just basically
recent.
did
Yeah, because they brought back
Next
the old
Generation
people.
again. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. I mean I
but
don't
I've
I
seen a bit of Picard season two. It was like I'd probably rate it like a two or something. It was like that
I
bad.
I literally could not care any less about Star Trek, so like it doesn't bother me at all. Uh,
Yeah, I know.
that's I mean Star Wars is already in the same boat, so
Yeah,
that's my Star Trek there. So um, yeah, eh, oh well, um, yeah, but I don't know, something's happening. They're not just gonna go and crash and burn, so that's good. Um, and I was hoping they keep the name. I mean, that's like one of the original studios, 100 plus years. So I don't know. History there.
times change, Daniel. Times change.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. All right, so in 2026, we are going to have the battle of the fifth installments of animated franchises here. Uh, Toy Story 5 is going to come out like mid June, and early July, we'll get Shrek 5. They announced the dates of both of those. So they'll be going head to head in 2 years. So like this time, 2 years from now, we'll have both of those movies out.
Super.
Yeah. Which one would you see first?
Uh, can I say neither?
No.
Probably Shrek.
Yeah. I think I would see Shrek first, just because it's been longer since we had another Shrek movie. Uh,
Eh, I
so
guess. Yeah. I don't know. Like I was done after like Toy Story 2, so
yeah. Okay. Um, I can understand that. Um, yeah. Well, this is just Universal and Disney going against each other, just like they did this year with Inside Out 2, and now Despicable Me came out. It's like exactly the same, like time frame as well, pretty much. So, and it's Pixar and
well, I'm just glad that they're not the Pixar group. The who are the other Dream? Is it DreamWorks? Right,
DreamWorks that
DreamWorks.
does start.
I'm just glad that they've become like a juggernaut now, like because they wouldn't you wouldn't consider them a juggernaut before, and like 10 years ago maybe, but they really came out with like banger after banger, and they had the How to Train Your Dragon did really well, and then obviously Despicable Me did really
I
well.
think I think DreamWorks every almost every DreamWorks the first movie in the series is like really good. In, Despicable Me is a good movie, the first one. How to Train Your Dragon is a good movie. Shrek is a good movie. Um, Kung Fu Panda, first good movie. I mean, they have several that like their first movies rocks, and that maintains like three or four more films, or two or three or four films.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, I'd say the same thing for these Pixar slash Disney movies. I mean, I don't think any of them get better with the next installment.
I
So
I don't know. I mean, I feel like Toy Story. I mean, I like the second one the most. I know people love the first one. I honestly, that one is one where they maintain pretty good quality through all of them. I liked the fourth one. I mean, I think the third one's actually the worst for me, but some people love the third one. The third one was nominated for Best Picture. So I mean, uh,
I mean, I think the first one's the best, but
and with Pixar, other than Toy Story, pretty much every single one, it's only the first one is like really good. I mean, Incredibles 2 is fine. I liked Monsters University. Finding Dory I liked, but it's not as good as the first one. Um,
well, that's what I was saying. That you were saying that's what DreamWorks does. I'm saying Disney slash Pixar kind of does the same thing.
I would say yes and no. I feel like it is 100%, like 100% with DreamWorks, other than maybe Shrek, because I know people like Shrek too. But like almost all of their stuff, like the first one's great and the other ones are fine at best. I think Pixar has a couple that I think they're good. I mean, I thought Incredibles 2 is good. Toy Story 2 is definitely good. Um, Inside Out 2 was good. So I think you probably half and half with
I
Pixar. With
think
DreamWorks, it's
I
like
think
all
DreamWorks
one.
DreamWorks just milks them all more.
Yeah,
I'll
and
say.
they're just not. Yeah, it's just fine. Like So I don't know. That maybe
And
I'm
I
just
also think Disney milks their stuff on their service with like TV shows and stuff, where DreamWorks doesn't do that as much. They just
well. They
milk them
don't.
more movies.
I guess they. I guess they do. They
I
have
mean, like they milk
Peacock.
Frozen. They have little shorts.
I think they have like Kung Fu Panda has like series on Netflix and like they do. Oh, and they had Madagascar as well. And the first one's really good, and the rest are crap. Um, but and they do have shows and stuff. Just didn't go anywhere. Um, just not as good.
Yeah, I would argue the same thing for Disney. I'm just saying they both equally milk their
Well, of
properties
course they're gonna milk if it's for
equally.
kids. Oh, Cars is terrible. The second one's really really bad. Third one's actually not bad. I did watch that not too long ago. It's actually pretty good.
Yeah, I thought the third one was actually pretty decent.
And it's
Way better than the
way
second.
better than the second one. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I
probably why
actually
it seems better.
I actually might like the third one more than the first one. Um, I haven't seen the
I
first one
mean,
in a long
I
time.
think that would be fair. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so we'll get more. We'll get more of that, and we're also getting more. Getting other Pixar, and I'm sure DreamWorks. I'm sure we'll get another Minions Despicable Me movie at some point. Um, so I
They'll have a Mario or something, right? Zelda.
definitely, yeah, Mario will definitely come out. Um, I know Pixar, they were doing other um, sequels coming up. Um, like what's his name came back? The Iger, Bob Iger came back and he's like, "Give me all those sequels." Um, so
Well,
yeah,
they weren't doing too hot with their original stuff, right? So
yeah. The next Pixar movie, Elio, it's like animate, like the Alien or whatever, Aliens one coming, like the aliens show up. That's coming. That's the next one coming out next year. Toy Story 5, Zootopia 2, Frozen 3, Incredibles 3. Those are then the next Pixar or um, uh, Disney.
I'll watch Incredibles 3. The rest I don't care about.
We'll definitely be watching Frozen 3. I think actually the second one's pretty good in that. Uh,
I still haven't watched it.
yeah. Well, we'll probably be watching the third one, so you better catch.
I mean, isn't that just all music pretty much? And it's like the story is like bleh.
It's a lot more um uh like yeah, it's like more like a musical. Um it's more like a musical. That's probably why I like
I
it.
honestly I thought Frozen the story for the first one was pretty crap. So
I thought this one, she's figuring out more about herself, Elsa. It's more about her and not less about the other sister in that. So I thought it was interesting, and I feel like the story was a little bit more. Um, uh, what's the word? Like there was more to it. It wasn't just like they're doing this and they're coming back, whatever. It was like they had different things going on, and it was more of a musical. Like there's more singing. It's not just like here's a one or there's only a few songs in the first one. The second one is like a lot of music, and it's set up like a musical would be. Um, yeah. So we'll see what happens there. Um, yeah. Okay. So next we got Devil Wears Prada 2, where is in development with Meryl Streep and Emily Blunt to return from the first movie. No word on Anne Hathaway yet. So, which makes sense. So probably.
I've never seen the first one, so
Oh, really? It's actually a pretty good movie. It's a movie I hadn't seen until not too long ago. Like all the way through, I'd seen like parts of it, but it's actually a pretty good movie, and it's not just like you know goofy or whatever. It's actually like the story is actually pretty decent. I mean, the Meryl Streep's good and Hathaway's good. There's just like it was like very like mid 2000s sensibility about it still though. It's a pretty decent movie actually. It's probably on Netflix or something. It's definitely worth a watch. Is it going to be like your favorite movie ever? No, but it's probably like, oh, that's a good movie, you know. So, but yeah, second one is in development. That was really it. It was just that it's in development. It was, I think it was a Fox movie, so it'll be a Disney movie, 20th Century Studios movie. Um, so yeah. Um, Now You See Me 3 is going to come out November 3rd, 2025. So holiday-ish movie next year. Original cast is confirmed to return, all of them. The original four from the first movie, plus the girl who replaced Isla Fisher in the second one, she's also coming back. So that'll be all five of them. And Mark Ruffalo and Morgan Freeman and everything. So I like the first one. I think the second one's pretty okay. Daniel Radcliffe's in the second one, and he's coming back for this one too. So,
as long as it's funny and there's some magic, I'll enjoy it. But they have a problem with the funniness department of that.
yeah, I think, yeah, it's just Woody Harrelson and Jesse Eisenberg and stuff. So, I mean, that'll be like the fifth movie that they'll be in together because they're both in Zombieland as well, and they made two of those. So, uh, so yeah, Ruben Fleischer is directing it, who directed Venom and other things. I don't remember what else he's directed, but so that's a different director from the other two.
Mhm.
there's been a different director on each movie. So, yeah, I mean, we just have an actual date now. That was a movie that's been in development for literally years. Um, like even after the second one came out, and it's just been like on the shelf, and now they're actually people are signed on to be. Justice Smith has joined the cast, who was in Dungeons and Dragons and the Detective Pikachu. Um, so yeah, so that'll come out next year. All right, we're ready to get into some trailers here on the train.
Let's do it.
Speaking of magic, Agatha All Along, we got a trailer for that. What'd you think?
Thought it looked pretty bad. Pretty Netflix stock. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I tune in for superheroes and stuff when it comes to Marvel, and they just don't seem to want to give that anymore. So I don't know. I yeah. I thought the other one, the one that she's from, whatever that one's called, the Scarlet Witch one, was unique because they were doing the each era of television sort of thing, and I thought that was a really unique idea. And they were doing like in front of a live audience and stuff. I thought was really cool.
Right.
And this has none of that. Uh, yeah, and then none of it looked funny, but
Yeah, it's
I mean, I'll
definitely
definitely give it a watch.
Halloweeny. It's coming out. It's going to come out around Halloween, and I wonder if it'll finish around Halloween because I doubt it's going to be like 10 episodes in the first week. I think they're doing a couple episodes, so it'll probably be done around Halloween. Is my guess. Or because yeah, like 6 weeks probably, maybe 6-7 weeks. Anyway, I thought it looked okay. It definitely looks. It looks different. It doesn't. Yeah, it's definitely not. Yeah, there's no superheroes in this. It's just they're just like witches. So
Yeah, I just
uh,
kind of think they've kind of forgotten what all of their fans wanted, and I don't know why they're making stuff for different fans or something. I don't know who they're making this for.
this looks like the same feelings people had that made the Acolyte. It's very like women forward, and this one is like gay almost. Like they have like Patty LaPone in it. Um, they're do and you have uh Joe Locke who is on that called like Heartstopper or whatever, where they're like gay teenagers or whatever, and he's definitely playing a gay character, like the most gay stereotypical character. Um, but that's one gay character in the MCU. He's supposed to be somebody's kid or something. I can't remember, but he has powers. I don't remember what his powers are. I think he's supposed to be one of Wanda's kids. I don't remember. Um, so I don't know what they're doing. It doesn't. Yeah, it's not superhero. There's nothing. It's just connected to the MCU. I actually thought her as a detective actually looked more interesting than the rest of the show. Um, so
Yeah, like the first probably 30 seconds of the show
yeah,
itself.
yeah, like it'd probably be 10 minutes or something of the first
Yeah.
episode. That looked more interesting. Her playing a detective, Catherine Hahn playing a detective, looked more interesting than the witch part. Um,
Yeah.
I
I'm
got
sure this show already is going to garner a lot of hate just because of the type of fans and
yeah.
what. So, I mean, I'll give it a fair shake, but I don't really see it being, much better than like She-Hulk or something like that.
I
So,
think it can be a little bit better if they just do it. If they do it well, you can. If you do it campy Halloween well, it can be good. But it's not going to be. superhero. You know what I mean? So it can be
Yeah, I'll have to.
good in its
I have
own
to adjust
genre,
my expectations.
but not. Yeah, exactly. So it's like I don't know what they just did it because she was popular from the show, and basically people liked that song uh, in
Hmm.
WandaVision. So
I
literally
mean, it
what the
was
show is
catchy,
called.
I guess.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens. But it looks very hocus pocus to me. But that did pretty well. So we'll see what happens. Let's talk about F1. Let's go manly now. Car racing.
Yeah, I mean, car racing movies are like the equivalent of dog movies. I just don't care at all.
Oh, I'd rather
Uh,
watch a car movie than a dog movie any day of the week.
uh, I don't know. It depends. There's almost no scenario where want to watch a car movie, and
You like
then
Brad Pitt?
yeah, I do like Brad Pitt, but I mean, you could put Brad Pitt in a dog movie, and it would be the same thing.
Oh, I would
So
skip that. Yeah, for sure. But watch
I
it.
would skip both of them.
Yeah.
So I feel like there's probably one scenario where I guess Fast and Furious isn't like the most horrible thing on the planet, but I could see like if they're like the original Fast and Furious are good. So if they ever did a movie like that, like the original ones where it's actually about driving, then I'd probably be interested a little more.
I mean, I liked Gran Turismo, and I thought Ford versus Ferrari was fine. So I'm not like against it. Um, it's I I think it'll be different. I don't think it'll be like they're not the same exact movie. Um, so
Hmm.
like dog movies are all the same, Dog, we love dogs, blah blah blah. The dog dies, the end, and then everyone moves on with their lives. Um, but you know, eh,
Yeah, I guess.
we'll see. I don't know. Um, I
I don't know.
mean,
Would you consider I Am Legend a dog movie?
yeah, I would.
Because
I
if it's
don't
like
like
a
them.
movie like that, I would like a dog movie.
Yeah, I would consider that a dog movie. He has a dog. Everyone loves the dog. Dog dies. So yeah, I would consider that
Yeah.
a dog movie. Yeah.
So if you can put a dog in an interesting setting, I feel like you can't really put a racing type of movie into a good setting. Unfortunately, it defaults to racing setting.
Well, also racing movies are also g- generic sports movie. It's just racing instead of boxing or football or whatever. Is the
True.
underdog, and then they win, and then
There was only one racing movie that would get me interested in seeing it, and that would be a pod racing movie.
oh, pod racing. I mean, pod racing was the definitely interesting part of the first Star Wars there, or Episode 1, whatever you want to call it. Herbie Fully Loaded.
Yeah,
That's an excellent car racing movie. Um,
sure. Yeah.
I know. I can't think of any car racing movies that I was like, oh yeah, that's a great movie. I don't think they make that many of them. Maybe what's the one, the Will Ferrell one? People like that movie, but it's not. It's just a comedy.
Talladega Nights.
Talladega
Yeah,
Nights. Yeah,
it's not really. I mean, it is a racing movie, but
yeah. It's a comedy. It's making fun of that kind of
it takes the back seat to the
culture
comedy.
of the NASCAR. Yeah. Um, yeah. I don't know. We'll see. Uh, all right. Other action adventure movie here. Gladiator 2, a brand new, hot off the presses trailer here.
Yeah. I thought it wasn't. I didn't. I don't think it looked as good as I thought it was going to be. Um, I mean, it definitely has the big budget of like that type of movie,
Right.
but I don't. I don't know if the story's there. I don't. I
That's
wasn't like interested to see what was going to happen or anything.
honestly, I felt very similarly to you. Uh, I mean, it's just a continuation of the first movie in the fact that there's a couple people from the first movie in it, but it seems like a very similar story to the first one. You know, you got the Emperor crazy or whatever, and then the Gladiator and, you know, whatever, and revenge ish type thing. Um, has a lot of goofy CGI, as his recent movies have had. Um,
Yeah, not sure what people want to do with CG rhinos. Like, stop
yeah.
doing them.
Um, like Napoleon had some goofy CGI too. And I'm sure this Gladiator movie will be long, probably be like 2.5 hours.
I'm sure it will be.
I mean, literally, his last few movies have all been long. Napoleon, House of Gucci, Last Duel. I mean, really, Scott is not on a hot streak. I'll tell you that. He's probably making this movie to try to have a win. We'll see if that works out for him. I'm sure they put a butt ton of money behind it. You got uh, freaking Denzel's in it, and you know, looks big budget. I'm sure they paid Ridley
Yeah.
Scott a pretty penny as well. So
I mean, I want these big budget, epic kind of Lord of the Rings slash, Troy slash. I want these types of movies, but they've just not been good. He seems to be the only one that's making them, and they do not come out to, acclaim like they used to. So,
yeah, yeah, it's 2.5 hours. Um, oh my gosh, the reported budget for Gladiator is 300 million. That's crazy. No way. That can't be right.
I mean, it looked pretty big budget to me.
300 million is crazy. There's no way. I'm gonna look that up more. Let's see. Wow. Yeah, 310 million. Oh my gosh. Oh my god. That means it has to make like, it means it has to make like 800 million to make its money back. That's insane.
Yeah, yeah.
That's crazy. Wow. Yeah, I don't I would be more in the line to probably make like 500. And
I completely agree. If it even makes that,
if it makes that, that's crazy. All right, well, we'll see.
what did
I'm,
Napoleon make? Do you know?
oh, nothing. Uh, like very little.
Honestly, I feel like it'll be the same.
Um, I feel like people like the first one, so it'll definitely make more than Napoleon. Um, yeah, it made 221 million. Napoleon. That was also an Apple movie, I believe. So, and
And
I
it
know,
came out in theaters.
yeah, it's an Apple movie that they showed in theaters. But they gave him a lot of money, like they did with who the other one that made the long ass movie, Scorsese. They gave him like 200 million to make the movie or whatever. So like they got paid even though the movie didn't make that much. This one, Gladiator 2, is Paramount. It's not an Apple movie or whatever. It's Paramount. So, um, but yeah, apparently the original budget was like half of what they ended up spending on this movie. So, yep.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I thought it looked fine. I mean, there's movies like this. I mean, probably just watch the first one again. There is people in it I like. I do like Pedro Pascal, and I think Paul Mescal is actually a good actor, up and coming actor. Um, he's only been in movies for like a couple years. So um, there's one of the guys who's the emperor. One of the emperors is going to be. He was in Quiet Place. He was the guy in Quiet Place. The two guys that we followed, two people that we followed. That guy, and then the other emperor guy was in that Thelma movie, and he played like the grandson or whatever. So it's kind of funny. He's like a really normal dude, and then this one he's like wearing makeup and stuff. He's like the crazy one. So it's kind of funny seeing that.
Yeah,
Uh,
just look like a Joffrey clone or something from Game
yeah,
of
well,
Thrones.
they're probably both gonna just do Joaquin Phoenix in the first one, the crazy emperor guy. So um, I don't know. It doesn't look like anything we haven't seen before. I just thought it was funny those two guys, and that's Mister Fantastic and Johnny Storm there of the Fantastic Four coming up. So
Super.
cool. All right, ready to get into the movie?
Yep.
All right, this week we're talking about Beverly Hills Cop, Axel F. What'd you think?
Uh, thought it was pretty average, pretty middle of the road. There were a few things I laughed at here and there, basically when Eddie Murphy was just doing his Eddie Murphy shtick.
Yep.
Um, but other than that, ugh, yeah, wasn't great. Um, Also, I hadn't seen those movies in forever, so a lot of the callbacks just like went right over my head.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
the I mean, it's mostly for the first one. It's like his cop buddies from the first one and stuff. I remember the first one enough to be like, oh yeah, that guy or whatever. But yeah, there was some like one character shows up and they look at an open house or whatever, or not an open house, but whatever. He's from like the
yeah,
third
they
one, I guess.
dragged that joke into the ground. That was
Well,
terrible.
apparently in the third one, that was like the best part of the third one was them like interacting off of each other, but it was just like whatever because I've never seen the third one. So um, it was, I mean, I thought the movie was fine, and you're right. I think the best part is Eddie Murphy doing Eddie Murphy. I don't think it was like a bad movie, but I also don't think it was like a good movie. It was just fine, um, average movie. Um, I mean, we've seen this before. We've seen it before with him, and it's exact. There was nothing. The only thing I thought that was decent about the movie is I thought his interactions with his daughter was fine, and I like what's his name, Joseph Gordon-Levitt. I thought was decent. I think they had a decent back and forth between the two of them. But it was just like that guy's old and that guy's old and Eddie Murphy's old and just doing their thing. Um, um, I think we should just get into spoilers. I mean, there's really not that much of this movie.
I
I
mean, you
don't.
want to go a rating first?
Yeah, I think this is gonna be like the shortest review we're gonna do. 5,
Yeah.
average movie.
Yeah, I'm also at a 5.
Like
And yeah, there's not much to talk about. So
yeah,
I
there
agree.
it's not even really like secretive about anything. Like Kevin Bacon shows up and he's immediately slimy, like he's clearly the villain. It's not even like you're not even like I wonder who the villain. It's like clearly Kevin Bacon. He shows up and he's like a wiener immediately, and uh, and like he's like nah, he was a good man, or the cop who's clearly dirty and he's like the narcotics chief or whatever. It's like clearly he's the bad guy. Um, it's not even like a secret. Um, yeah, Kevin Bacon was there, uh, and that's all he does is be a bad guy, I guess. Uh, eh, it was fine.
Yeah.
Seen this before. We'll see it again, I'm sure. Um, you know, uh,
I wish I had good or bad things to say about it, but
yeah,
unfortunately, it was all middle of the road.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. Like I said, I thought the girl who played the daughter was decent. I thought Joseph Gordon-Levitt was fine. The old guys were fine. Um, Probably the best part was the beginning, where they're like driving the truck and crashing through and stuff, and they're in
Felt Austin
Detroit.
Powers there when he was
Yeah,
driving the little car there.
yeah. That stuff was fun enough. Like it had a pretty good start, and then it was just kind of like plotting plotting about.
Yeah. It was too
Uh,
long too. Like,
was it like two
mm,
hours? I want to say.
yeah, it was like 2 hours, and
Yeah,
like it could have easily trimmed up some spots easily.
yeah. It didn't need. It could have been an hour and a half. I think it was like they were doing detective work, but it was like obvious to anybody who had a brain what was going on here. It wasn't even like a mystery, um, and it was almost like he was just going like, "This is what's happening, right, daughter?" Like like just kind of like stringing her along so she could like do it herself, I guess, even though she's not. Um, yeah, so it was fine. I thought the
Yeah.
movie was fine. I didn't.
They tried to make him like an action star still or something for some, but there was like almost zero action other than I don't really count him just driving and screaming, doing his Eddie Murphy thing action, but I mean, he
There's a
ain't no
shootout at the end that's exactly like the shootout in the first one where it's at a mansion or whatever. There's a helicopter flying a helicopter thing was fine. There's I mean there was a couple funny lines in the movie, but there wasn't enough action or comedy to like really like hit. It was just like I didn't like go like ugh I want to turn this movie off, but I wasn't like I get up and get a bag of chips or whatever and have a drink
yeah.
and
I think if I wasn't reviewing this, I probably would have turned it off. It just like better things to do with my time, but
I think we would have had more to talk about if we talked about Despicable Me more over this.
yeah.
Um, but
I mean,
yeah,
this one was free, so
yeah, exactly. That was better than paying for it, I guess. Probably a good thing they didn't put this in the theater. Um,
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I think we both hoped it would have been better.
And
Um,
I think some people are liking it, but I think some people might have nostalgia for the the movies. I mean, I have nostalgia for better Eddie Murphy movies. So I mean, and I know he's a good actor. He's done a good job, and I thought he was fine in it. But I feel like this movie is the most like Eddie Murphy in real life. So he's just kind of being himself. If if he was a cop, um, or whatever. But I don't know. It was fine. Um, Honestly, at the very end of the movie, he talks to them in their car or whatever, and that's reminiscent of the first movie. That was actually kind of funny. But they didn't have enough of that. They had like this goofy plot that no one like that was you know very basic. So um,
yeah,
I thought the parts of it were fine. It was just not that exciting of a movie. So
yeah.
um,
What was your favorite joke of the movie?
um, I thought that when they get into the helicopter was kind of funny. Their banter was kind of funny when they're in the helicopter. Um, uh, yeah, that was probably the funniest
Yeah,
part.
I agree that was probably my second funniest moment. That was probably the only other time in the movie I laughed when he's just telling him to shut up,
Yeah,
try to focus. But
Yeah.
But my favorite funny part was when he gets in the car and he starts singing the TLC song or whatever song it was. Or it was Mary J. Blige is who it was. And he doesn't know the words, so he's just like doing his Eddie Murphy thing. I
Um,
thought that was
I do. That's a good song. That Mary J. Blige
yeah,
song.
it was a good song. That's also why the joke was funnier.
Yeah. 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 I think that is one of those songs that people know the song, but they don't know the words at all. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. That's pretty
I
funny.
wonder if he just like made that up on the spot or if that was like actually a written joke or not.
I don't know. That's a good question. I have no idea. I'm sure they let him do um, improvising.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're both out of 5.
Yeah, I mean it was fine. Yeah, I mean they had other people come back or whatever. Um, the um, the one guy who's in Detroit or whatever, and they were like, "Let's make sure we call him so we can have him do more acting." Even though he's nowhere near the story or whatever, they like called him to like trace a phone or something. Um, it's like they're like,
Yeah.
can't forget we paid this guy, so let's get him back for a scene.
Yeah. Even though he was supposed to have quit at that point, so it would make no sense that he had the ability to trace a phone. But yeah.
I Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't even think about that. Yeah,
He was just like at the place, like celebrating some random thing or something.
yeah, that's a good point. Yep. Uh, well, I think this is all supposed to take place in like a few days, so I don't know.
I don't know. He literally packed up his things in a box and left.
It's a
So
retirement party or something.
yeah, I don't know. It really doesn't matter in the grand scheme. The plot was absolutely atrocious. It doesn't really matter.
I don't
But
think it was atrocious. I just thought it was just obvious
it
and
was just
plain.
boring and
Yeah,
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 bland. Yeah,
yeah. Yeah. Oh well, cool. And
yeah.
that's all we got
Well,
on that. So
all right. Well, I think that wraps up our episode. See you guys on the next one. Until then.
this has been the Daniel and Andrew Show.